Morning, all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Another Saturday morning, another coffee with the Cowbell. Glad to have you joining me wherever you are, wherever you're from, whatever of the 5 platforms you may be on. I am still amazingly successfully multi-streaming to LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. So, welcome to wherever you're joining from. And hopefully, you got your coffee. And hopefully, you're here to geek out with me another Saturday morning with teens. So, without further ado, as always, I'm trying to monitor chat. If you do have something to say, I haven't been doing a great job of that. I've been seeing chats after the fact, which I try to reply to. I would love to be a little better at seeing them ahead of time. I'll get there. So bear with me. All right. But, and I did see that chat. So thank you, Antonio. Yes, I'm impressed too that, that I'm able to stream to all those platforms. So it's pretty cool. And technology is a good thing. All right. So, with that said, we'll dive into a couple of topics here. 2 that I had in mind. And of course, if I see a question in the chat, I'll certainly be happy to take that. But 2 that I had in mind last week, as I saw the chat after the fact, I saw a question about Power BI tabs or integration into Teams. I answered it in the chat, but I thought I'd show that here briefly too. And then I did a presentation earlier this week where I did did a poll within the meeting, because I figure a lot of you may be coming here looking for meetings tips. I mean, that's if you're like me, that's your all day, every day, maybe more so depending on your job. Maybe a lot of your job, like mine, is collaborating in teams and chat and channels and files and whatnot. But probably anybody that is tuning into this can appreciate meetings tips and tricks. And so that kind of dawned on me that I have done a lot of meetings related tips and tricks in the past and other streams and whatnot, but I try to add more of those too into the mix. And so so I put a form poll into this meeting, several of them actually. Pre-created them ahead of time, all that good stuff. I thought I'd show that too. That might be useful because in the meeting, some of the folks were kind of intrigued at how I had done that. So I'll show you how easy that is. So it's a couple of things I thought I'd start off with. So let me let's go to my demo environment here. And let's start with that whole Power BI piece, right? The question was, can I integrate Power BI into Teams? And so a couple ways I'd answer that. So one is with tabs, right? So you see I'm in this channel. It has some tabs already there. In fact, I don't know if I did this as a result of trying to answer that question, but it already has a Power BI tab in it. I happened to pick one it's actually already filled with some stuff. So this is an example in this demo environment where one is already set up. So you can see they've created that, and they can come in here, or any user can come in here and dive into the data, right? You can see through the power of, analytics and whatnot, I'm able to look at all of these different things. So I'm getting all the beauty and wonder of Power BI right here within the tab of the team. Okay. And the way they did that, the plus symbol gives us a large collection of tabs that we can add. Some are like first party, Microsoft related tabs, and then others, actually several hundred of others, are third party tabs. This list goes on and on and on and on and on. And probably still isn't the full list. But among the first party, actually not, in the first party list here at the top is Power BI there. And so you can see here a couple things. One, I'll point out for anytime you add a tab, I just want to point out this little thing at the bottom here, a checkbox for post in the channel about this tab, post to the channel about this tab. Why might I use that? Basically, I could put a tab here and the people in my team might not really notice, right? You can see like 3 more. If I add another one, it's going to say 4 more. That's who's going to notice that, right? Unless they're really looking at this often or something. So that little button can be useful because it's like a little announcement. I'll keep it checked here. It's a little announcement to let people in the channel chat know that a new tab has been created. So I'm going to keep that checked, that checkbox checked here. So the name of let's call it we call it whatever, right? But you want to name it something other than Power BI. And then you want to select the report that you want to show in the tab. And you got different choices depending on how much you know about Power BI. But in this case, this one already has a workspace set up for it. And so we can choose that one as an example. And we hit save. And that's pretty much all it needed, right? I think it's the same one as the other one. So obviously the effort here was more by the person who designed this workspace and these reports. Teams didn't magically do this. Someone who knows Power BI put this together. But once it is created in the workspace that's available to this team and this group of people, then it's easy to then just display it as a tab in the team, okay, with interactivity, as you can see as I'm clicking around the data. Okay, you can see below, because it's a workspace, we've got other tabs here for other kinds of data, and I can get at all of this without ever leaving Teams, right? What I also like about any tab really is as I'm looking at this report, I might want to have a conversation about it. Who's updating the XYZ report? And that's going out to the whole team. And that's with the button up here at the top. That button there is where I can open up the Teams chat for this tab, and every tab should have that. Where is this happening? So certainly it's happening right here, right next to the report, which is nice. So every time I come to that report, I'm going to have the option of seeing the related chat for it. And I can turn that, oops, I didn't mean to be angry about that. Turn that on and off. I can also, so you can see here, obviously I can see the whole thing, but as you click the little drop down on this tab, you could see I could expand it to make it bigger. All right, still in Teams, still got my left rail, but lots nice and big. Use this up here at the top to make it small again. And then also, and also popping it out, this first option here. If I actually want to see it in its own window, I can have that view too. And if none of that works for me, or I just, want to see it in the browser, that's what that button's for. And that takes me all the way out to the browser for that experience as well. I think that's the wrong, it's using the wrong thing. I haven't set that up yet, but you get the idea. Takes me to the browser, opens it up there if I was set up correctly. Close this. Again, where is the chat and stuff related to this? So I'll go back to the channel chat with posts there. You can see that that checkbox put this nice cute thumbnail there for people to know that Ricardo added a new tab at the top of this channel. They can click that thumbnail to go right to the tab. Okay, so very easy for that. And then any conversations about that basically become part of this thread. So you can see the one that I put about, who's updating the report, that's there, and any conversations after that will be there. Okay, so like a nice one I tend to like to do, let's say I've added that report, and let's say I did want to have a conversation about it. Remember, you can @mention, so I might @mention really the whole team to say, the report is ready, or something like that, right? So it's going to give a big, it's going to blast out to everyone on the team. When they see the post there, they'll know to go right up here and click it, and they're right into the report. So don't forget about @mentions. If you're ever wondering why nobody's ever seems to reply to your posts or see your posts, you're probably not @mentioning. Or maybe you're not @mentioning enough, or @mention the people, the channel, the team. There's different ways to do it to kind of blast that message out. So, because what you want to make sure is that it shows up in their activity feed, so they can see it. Okay. So that's a nice example of Power BI integrated into a team. Can't reiterate enough though, all the prettiness and beauty of this one here. Teams can't take credit for that. All it's doing is showing the great work somebody did in Power BI. But once they do that great work, it's nice integration in here. And the last thing about this and any tab really is don't forget about copy link to tab. Why is that important? Because if I copy link to tab, it's in my clipboard. When I come here and I say something like, everyone should check out the new reports. If you remember from a few sessions ago, I tried to shame anyone who describes where files and things are. I don't want to come in here and say, everyone should check out the new reports. Go to the research and development channel and the tab is there. Or go to the files tab, I put it in the so-and-so folder. Us Coffee with the Cowbell folks, we don't do it that way. We give people the direct link to these things because it's so easy. So you saw I said copy tab link, whatever it said. Control V, put it right in there. Pop that. Somebody sees this. The link's ready to go. All right, if you can see that there. They click it, they go right to the tab. Okay. See, it went from general to research and development channel in that tab. I could also have easily have put this Power BI report is going to have a URL. I could have posted that, which takes them right to the browser. That would have worked too. But the channel is nice and integrated, a nice smooth transition as people are clicking around. And they didn't have to leave Teams or anything like that. All right, so don't forget about that. And then the last part of this whole Power BI thing is Power BI here as an app. Hit add. Now, basically, this is my Power BI, my full-blown Power BI experience within Teams. So all the reports and workspaces and apps that I have access to, I'm basically able to do all of that without leaving Teams right there on the left rail. This is the equivalent of going to the browser and opening this up But why go to the browser if I can get it all done in the space that I'm already in? Right. So that's what this one is about. So to the question of Power BI and Teams, I'd answer it two ways. There's the Power BI app that can be done on the left rail, and then there is also the tab that one can add to a channel. Okay, so that's my quick answer on that. I believe that is there also, yeah, it's also here in a one-to-one chat. I've never tried this or kind of seen the scenario where in a group chat I would do this, but maybe that's just because I'm not heavy in the data. Maybe if I was on a team that did a lot with data, maybe this makes more sense. But if I go ahead and try it right now, you'll see that it essentially gives to that same workspace a nice thumbnail where, as we're talking, I could say, hey, you really should check out the operations analytics stuff. And then they can just easily open it, takes them back again into Teams, right? Opens it right up. So pretty useful. Okay. So that's how I'd kind of answer that question. Hope that helps. Yeah. So, and then the other thing I wanted to just show was doing a poll in a meeting. And so, real quick, let's schedule a quick meeting, right? Hopefully, we've done this before. A calendar. I'm going to schedule a meeting. I'll just make it, for 12 to 12:30 today. Call this my poll question meeting or whatever. I don't know. I can add some attendees. Add my friend Bob and who else is around? How about Joni? Okay. I send that out. So that meeting is coming up in about, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Before, though, I am going to go in here ahead of time. And you can see that there's a lot of stuff going on in a meeting, right? There is notes, there is a whiteboard, there is breakout rooms, and many of these have a pre-meeting aspect to them, right? I can set up my breakout rooms ahead of time, right? Before the meeting starts, so that once the meeting starts, everybody's in, I can pop them in their breakout rooms and we're good to go, right? So that's what that's about. But in this case, I want a form, a poll actually using forms. There are other things that do forms. You can see Poly, Q&A here, all that good stuff. I'm going to use forms, add that to the meeting. Create a poll before or during your meeting, collect responses in real time. That sounds like what I'm looking for. I'll hit save. And this thing is ready to go. Meeting hasn't started, right? But I can start creating my polls, which is what I did in this session I was in earlier this week. So the first one, how does everyone feel or something, right? Yeah, that's like worst poll ever. But and I want to share the results automatically after voting. I want to keep the responses anonymous in this case. Okay, so I'm going to save as a draft. Again, I'm just prepping them. I'm not, launching them at this time. I'll make one more. I don't know, what day is it? These are the worst questions ever. Saturday or Sunday or Tuesday, whatever. Same thing, say that as a draft. So I got two polls now queued up. Okay. You see they're both in draft form. Now let's go ahead and act like it's 12 p.m. Eastern and let's join the meeting. And in fact, do I have Bob here? I don't have Bob set up yet. So, we're going to join it. It's going to let us in. Nobody else is in here, but let's kind of pretend that they were. You can see that this room, this meeting, has a polls button up here ready to go. Okay. So we're having our meeting. People are in it. We're using our imagination. People are in it. They're chatting and whatnot. And then when I'm ready for my poll, that's when I come in here. I hit that button up there, and you can see my 2 in draft. And, I'm ready to launch it. I could edit it or do something else with it, but I'm ready to launch this. How does everyone feel? So I hit launch. And so what they will see is the poll question over top of the stage, right, where everybody's faces are. They could answer it there. They could also go into their chat and answer it there. They got 2 options. And as they start answering it, we get our results automatically updating here. So 1 response. So again, they can answer it either way. All in this case anonymous, because that's what I chose, right? And so that's how we do a poll during a meeting. And then in this case, we pre-created them. I could have also, done one on the fly, right? But we pre-created them. So again, when I'm ready for my next one, click that button up there. I could create a new one here, but I could just launch the second one. Again, in everybody's chat, and on top of the meeting stage, we get the next question. Everything's good, right? So that's how we do that. That's how we get some interactivity and some engagement in our meetings. Why that was useful for me in my meeting, I did it prior to the topic that I was going to talk about, and that gave me very quick knowledge about my audience to help me tailor what I was going to talk about. So if the poll basically gave me an impression that most of the room had already done or already knew what I was about to describe or demo, probably would still demo it. I don't know, but I wouldn't go into as much detail if it looks like the whole room pretty much already knows this stuff, right? Conversely, if the poll seems to suggest this is the first time for everybody, that I might, but again, so I take it slower, go more in depth, but so I'm able to get that good input right away, right in the meeting, without a clunky like asking people to raise their hand or come off mute or or anything like that, right? Because since it's anonymous and very easy to just click it, I'm likely to get a little more engagement than trying to manually figure out what's going on with my audience. And as you can see, they can't. It's very hard to ignore that poll too, right? They got to click it away. Why not just go ahead and vote? So yeah, very easy to do. Built right into Teams, giving you your polling capabilities and with real time responses. So I like that a lot. And then actually, if I go ahead and end this meeting, we pre-meeting, pre-meeting experience, during meeting experience, and now that the meeting's over, to still be able to come into the chat and see those responses and those polls, or even to come over to the polls tab and see the responses as well. Okay. You see here, response details. Obviously, not much going on there, but I could export it, all that good stuff, because forms obviously is its own whole thing, right? So forms or polls and quizzes, really, if you want it, if you're using this for teaching a class or something, can happen right there in the meeting, messaging with those kind of extensions. If I was more prepared, I would have had Bob or Joni, that persona, up and running so you could see their experience. But trust me, it's pretty much the same as what we just saw. All right. So good stuff there. Those were the two particular questions that had come up over the last week. I thought it'd be worth mentioning. Okay. So, oops, I do that every time. I gotta figure that piece out. But hope this was helpful, and hit me up on any of the platforms if you got questions. Of course, all of these are archived on the YouTube channel. They're also archived. You can also get their aka.ms/coffee4 teams. And check any one of those, your favorite the platform of your choice. So I'm Ricardo Wilkins, and this is Coffee with the Cowbell. Now I'm ready for it. All right, I'll get better at that at some point. But hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll check you later.